You know, I remember when I was a kid. At some point, I heard some Christians talking about how there were only humans in the universe and that God didn't create anything else other than the creatures on this planet. Like, he just couldn't figure out how to do it. He just wasn't that big a God. Well, I don't believe that. Though I do believe in the messiahship of the Christ. I do believe that God has a son. And I do believe that he made more than just us. But why don't we let the Bible speak for itself? This is alien disclosure for Christians. Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Therein lies the creation of stars, solar systems, suns, moons, galaxies, clusters of galaxies, eternal creation stretching out from his hands in all directions, the heavens, and then earth. Tiny earth, insignificant earth. Well, almost insignificant were it not for the drama unfolding thereupon. Genesis 1:26. Then God said, "Let us make man in our image, after our likeness." As is evident in the vastness of known creation, God is very busy, very creative. What did he create before he created man? What countless things did he create that were obviously not in the divine image? On all those planets, in all those before-made galaxies, in the before-made heavens? He doesn't say. The Bible is the account of the earth's past, present, and future. It is his story through us and his son. And what an interesting story it is. Did you know it's a love story? God's love for his people Israel and his approval of a bride for his son, the Christ. It's a real page turner, especially the last chapter, with all of its disobedience and murder, intrigue and wrath. But I digress. Let's look at other information in the Bible that points to the existence of off-earth beings. In the second chapter of the book of Daniel, Daniel interprets a dream for Nebuchadnezzar II, king of Babylon. Daniel 2:43 reads especially, "And just as you saw the iron mixed with the baked clay, they will mingle with the seed of man, but they will not cleave to one another, just as iron does not mix with clay." In this account, King Nebuchadnezzar sees a statue raised to the ground by God at its weakest point, the toes and the feet of two unmixable components. Someone tries to mingle with the seed of men. In the days of Noah, it was the angels in rebellion that left heaven and took wives of the human women. They mingled the seed of angels with the seed of man, creating giants. See Genesis 6:1-6. In fact, Genesis 6:4 reads, "There were giants in the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of God came into the daughters of men, and they bore children to them. They were the mighty men of old, men of renown." They are called the Nephilim in the NIV and the NAB translations. The Nephilim were human-angel hybrids. This rebellion angered God. He caused a flood to come upon the earth and wipe out all of the creatures except Noah and his family, for Noah was found perfect in his generations. The genealogy of Noah is stated, with nary an angel among his forefathers. Noah was a pure man. He had no hybridization in his lineage, and God saved him and his family. Unlike today's scientific community, God does not appreciate crossbreeding of species. In the book of Joshua, chapter 4, "And the sons of men in those days took from the cattle of the earth, the beasts of the field, and the fowls of the air, and taught the mixture of animals of one species with the other, in order therewith to provoke the Lord. And God saw the whole earth, and it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted its way upon the earth, all men and all animals." That's Joshua 4:18. Another example of God's abhorrence of the mixing of species can be found in Isaiah 66:17. Those who sanctify themselves and purify themselves to go to the gardens after an idol in the midst, eating swine's flesh, and the abomination and the mouse shall be consumed together, says the Lord. This is an obvious prophetic description of the enviropig. This pig-mouse E. coli hybrid has been developed in a lab to replace the common methane-producing swine with a more environmentally friendly pork product. The abomination here refers to E. coli, a bacteria that lives in feces. The world's largest consumer of pork, China, has expressed interest in this stalled research. No doubt this biological abomination is being further bred and studied in labs across China, where food safety and ethics compete with the communist values and generally lose to fiscal considerations. Isaiah 66:15 through 16 reads of the end times. For behold, the Lord will come with fire and with his chariots, like a whirlwind, to render his anger with fury, and his rebuke with flames of fire. For by fire and by his sword the Lord will judge all flesh, and the slain of the Lord shall be many. So in the end times, men will be worshiping idols and eating this abomination when the Lord comes. It has already been developed, thus showing those who are awake just how close we are coming to the return of the Lord. So wake up. Now, if he regards crossbreeding of animals as an affront to his creation, how much more the tampering with his human children? Initially, I thought that the iron was a human component of the statue, and the clay was some extraterrestrial interloper trying to mingle its seed with men. Men of iron, the powerful, dominant men of earth. But perhaps not. Adam was formed of clay, lowly clay of the ground. He was formed from dust. Genesis 2:7. And the Lord formed man of the dust of the ground, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living being. So, in the end time, extraterrestrial beings will try to cleave to humans, but God will intervene and break into pieces all offending parties and kingdoms. The otherworldly kingdoms will be the iron, we will be the clay, and the offensive mixture will not stand. Just as in the days of Noah, God will destroy the earth, but this time he will use fire. The disclosure of extraterrestrial beings has already begun. Since the advent of radio signals and the Voyager disk, we have been calling out to the heavens to anyone who can hear, and beings have answered us. They have visited us. They have studied and begun to mingle with us. They've been seen by pilots for years, and there are many credible accounts. But to speak out is to risk ridicule. Some still do. In the end times, God will send an unbelieving and unrepentant world a great delusion, and all but God's elect will believe it. As diabolical and demonic as it is, we already believe it. Take this popular video game, for instance, Ingress. Created by software developer Niantic and released in 2013, Ingress is an augmented reality mobile game with over 20 million players worldwide. Wikipedia summarizes the game thusly. An unknown transdimensional force called exotic matter, XM, was discovered at CERN, a byproduct of research of the Large Hadron Collider. The substance is associated with an alien race. In the game, humans' reactions to this discovery fall into two factions, the Enlightened and the Resistance. The Enlightened faction wear green and embrace the alien interference to help mankind prosper past the next big evolutionary hiccup, using XM. The resistance wear blue and believe their mission is to defend mankind from those who would use XM to control others. The game's popularity speaks volumes. The two opposing sides seem to magically balance each other in real numbers, and the premise is probably not too far from the truth of what will soon occur on Earth. The great delusion that will come upon the Earth is this disclosure. Disclosure of the fact that aliens do exist and have been visiting Earth and interfering with humans for a long time. And it is this genetic mutilation of God's creation that will finally force his mighty hand to save his creatures, his children, again. The great deception is not that these beings, these people as demonic as they are, exist. The deception is that they can save you, and not Christ.